All right, thank you. Let me get this thing in order. So, hello everybody. My name is Yao Kai Jiang, and I run a no-code business. It's called Moment, but in China it's called Zion, and I have mixed up the templates. You can see the logo here, but it's essentially the same company and the same technology. So our goal from the get-go, which is like 2000, end of 2019, beginning of 2020, just when COVID was hit, was to enable non-technical founders to build and scale their MVPs, MVPs being minimum viable products. And as a corollary, it is also quite suitable for students who's just starting out to explore how to actually build a product and run a business. And I'm a firm believer that market is the best teacher, gives you the most realistic feedback. And it's going to be beneficial in the growth of an individual, especially early on. So I've written this addressing the actual student. So I'll do that. If there's, parents in the audience, please imagine you're that student. What you will learn is after this camp is that you would have built a fully functional online learning platform, very similar to Udemy. Of course, it's not going to have all the bells and whistles of Udemy because it's going to be only 3 weeks. But the main functionality of somebody going on it and buying a course, and then being told that they have no access to a particular course if they haven't paid for it, that's all there. And in addition to the traditional Udemy functionalities, there's also an AI part where the buyer can then query with the content of their course being the course material, right? So they can ask. It's as if they had like a personalized office hour. And once that project is done, you would mostly understood how modern web development works, including the concepts of the server, the front end, and how they communicate, where the data goes, and how to do basic debugging, because inadvertently you will get something wrong. Not only you will get something wrong, when I build things, I get something wrong too. That's part of life. And as I said, we target non-technical founders, so no coding experience was required. In fact, if you want to check it out, you can go to WeChat if you have access to that. Well, you have to search for Hanzi Keji, which is kind of difficult to type if you don't know Chinese. But there'll be a bunch of examples of what people similar to you have built. One example off the top of my head was a semaphore. Sorry, sophomore. Semaphore is actually a technical term. I'm going crazy. A sophomore in a Chinese university built herself a marketplace for horse notes, and she made about 15,000 yuan, which is like $2,000 plus, in a short period of 2 months. And well, obviously she had things going into it. She had existing brand awareness within her university, but the conversion was bad until she built something that facilitated transaction, and then the conversion rate just shot up. Okay, so why this camp? So I'm a Cambridge and CMU alum. I've studied computer science in both schools, and I then worked as a software engineer in a startup in, well, Palo Alto. It was at that time was in Palo Alto. It's called Medallia. Until, well, before it has taken venture funding, and until it like went public. So I kind of went through the whole process. And well, that is also to say I know a lot about software. So I'm not going to teach you things that are out of date and not actually use. And I think on a college application, if that is your resume, that you have made something that had revenue, real world revenue, it's going to make you outshine your competitor. Because if I were a admission officer, I'll be thrilled to see somebody so early on in life being, learning from the actual market. Of course, what you would have built in the camp is not going to be sellable as is, but you would have had all the necessary training and knowledge to expand on it or
哎，
start
这
a
到底
project
不能 ready
on
是
your own.
如何干的呀？
那你就
Whoops. I think somebody's okay.
Yeah.
So what would happen in that 3 weeks? So first of all, in week 1, the idea is to understand web applications. We'll introduce you to the typical architecture of web applications, how data flows between the different components. And we will be learning on Moment, which is the no-code platform that I have built. And it kind of looks like okay, so this is the interface of the thing. And what you're looking at here is the Moment's own official, or the corporate site of Moment. Right, so that's how we built our own corporate site, and the corporate site looks like this. And I'm in China, so it takes a while to load. So this is the corporate site, and as I said, things get slow when you're in China. But we also were ranked #1 product of the day, in fact, a week ago. So yeah, so this entire website, it is built on Moment. So itself is built on Moment, and this is actually one of the easier things that you can build, because this is mostly a website with little data interactivity, right? So you don't interact with data. So this is like one of the simplest forms of application that you can build. But what we're going to build in the course is not going to be so simple. It's actually going to be like, there's a lot of data interactivity. And by the end of first week, I'll introduce you to your first components, like how to use different things for different cases, but they are not going to be, we're not going to use that in a project yet. So the first week is mostly just understanding how things work. In fact, that's actually quite a lot of material for 2 hours of teaching, because usually that takes like about 4 or 5 hours. So we'll have to squeeze in a lot of things so to lay the foundation. So the second week, we will design a database for the application. The database is, if you imagine the world being an application, the user interface is really just the crust. And then the database is the mantle. The mantle moves the crust, not the other way around. And the mantle is actually much thicker than the crust. So it is a lot more important to get your database correct, the structure of that correct. And we'll do that in Moment 2. And it's also no code, but the concepts learned here is very much transferable. In fact, the user interface, the way we handle user interface is quite standard compliant. We basically just stick to Flexboxes, and that's like one of the most powerful, well, not one of the, it is the most powerful layout formats, well, layout options in CSS, in cascading style sheets. So that's a standard WebTalk technology. So once you know how to lay things out in Flexbox, that is also transferable if you were to go into coding in the future too. Once we have the database design done, then we can start fiddling around with the actual business logic, such as user authentication and payment. So you will be needing, so before we even start the course, you will be needing a Stripe account. So that is a I would say an administrative requirement, because you need your own account to even test payment. Otherwise, you're just imagining getting paid, right? And we will be using sandbox environment, so you don't actually need a credit card, but the whole payment process is going to be identical to what happens on Stripe if you were actually charging people. In fact, you can just flip a switch on Stripe, and then it would ask you for real credit cards. In Sandbox, you just put in some predefined cards, and then you'll be done. But in real life, obviously, you need a real card. But that's also the beauty of this, because you're just one step away from actually monetizing things. On the week 3, we will be building the AI integration. I will introduce you to how to think about agent building and the whole ecosystem of, well, not the whole ecosystem, but the important part of the ecosystem for large language models. And we will build out the AI agent and integrate that into the application to allow whoever's bought courses to ask questions based on their course's content. And then we will do a bunch of debugging, because people are bound to have bugs, and that should wrap up the entire course. And so so within those 3 weeks, there will also be office hours. There'll be support, because that's usually one of the most important things to ensure people can get something out. And I know that firsthand, because that's how our customers progress, right? That's like they're different from you in the sense that I don't teach them, but you are going to be very similar in the sense that you will run into very similar problems, and the solution to your problems are going to be very similar too. So yes, again, what was built? You're gonna have a course catalog, right? So a list page for courses. You can then search it, you can then look at the details and whatnot. And obviously, there's going to be like videos playing for each course. We'll provide you with the fake data that to make sure that the thing looks and feels correct. Otherwise, it's surprising how difficult it is to work on something purely out of imagination. It's always nice if you have like concrete examples, and the fake data goes a long way to solve that problem. User authentication, obviously, and then that's the only way you can control access, is based on the user. And the reason you want access control is because like you need to distinguish between the paid users and the non-paid users. And if you haven't bought something, you shouldn't enjoy it. Payment, as I said before, the course Q&A for it. This is not an AI powered course Q&A for this course. It's AI powered course Q&A for the user of that platform that you built. And the design and layout will be provided. I haven't done that yet. It's going to look something similar to. It's going to look something similar to, I think, one of those. Excuse my internet slowness. It's this is all in US and I'm currently in China, as I said. Yeah, it's going to be somewhat similar to this guy, but probably redesigned a bit because I don't like the way this thing looks. And yeah, and then going back to here, and the last thing, yeah, responsive. So what responsive means is really like once you move these things, it doesn't it resizes, and until at some point it becomes this. It becomes like it has two breakpoints. So it's responsive and has a breakpoint, basically. I forgot to write the breakpoint part. Things you will learn, well, developing with no code, specifically Moment. And you would do the most important thing, as I said, is a database. But you also have API integration, an AI agent building, and a payment system integration, and permissions. So all the important concepts in product building, not necessarily in software engineering, but in product building, right? You have to think about all of these. Yeah, and even though it is a no-code development tool, it is still rigorous. So it will also teach you how important rigor is in software development. And not only software development, but also even in product design. But it's important in product design too, the rigor. But we won't be going into too much of that because I would have designed the product for you. But I will explain on the way why certain decisions are made that way, and what are the thinkings that went behind it. Yeah, more logistic issues. We'll have hands-on sessions each week, so that's me teaching you, and during that time you can ask me questions, and we'll have office hour that may or may not be me in it, but there'll be weekly office hours, and sometimes I will sprinkle in a little bit of personal mentorship, but that depends on you. You may not want that. So from me at least. And one of the things that people worry about, like well, the question is usually not asked in this format, right? But the question is usually, okay, what can actually be built in no code, right? Because it's no code. It sounds like it's just underpowered or something. But the way we handle it, it's best explained if I just show you the whole thing, right? So this is how we design our database for Moment Web. So this is even for a web application, a website, it has a pretty long list of tables, and the relations get pretty involved, especially around the blog part. And this is how you would manage all that data. And takes a while. Okay, so that's actually the account thing. Maybe just go to post. Right? For example, these are the data in the post. And then they are related to other posts. For example, here, this guy is related to, I don't know who that one is, but it's really 49. Who's 49? 12 effective methods to convert traffic to leads. Okay, so it's just some blog posts. And you can integrate APIs. For example, here we have a bunch of integration with Feishu, which is a Chinese instant messaging application. And this enables you to communicate with the outside, both sometimes fetching data, sometimes making changes. And do we have any action flow that oh yes, okay, here. This is a bit of an automation inside the website. We had a AI sign up form, but it was a while ago. It no longer exists. So in that way, we kind of just check whether you have signed up already. If you have not, then we have like we run this branch. If you have already joined, then you go to this branch, and then these are just different nodes on the back end to manipulate either the database or some kind of API, or if you want AI as well. I think that's a pretty complex one. Okay. And then we have an AI agent builder. This one doesn't have anything. So I'll show you something in a different project. For example, I think this guy has it. Yeah, this guy has some. This is not a good example either. I think I put it in probably here. Yeah. Okay. So here you got your model choices, you got your inputs. These are the inputs that you have declared that they have to then provide when you actually invoke this AI agent. And then these are the prompt templates. The one thing that sorry.
Oh.
Okay, sorry. I think I thought someone was talking to me. Okay. So these are the prompt templates. We will go into a bit of prompt engineering in week 3, and it's kind of a mandatory thing if you were to build something using large language model in this case, right? So, and here we have the retrieval part where you fetch AI the required context for it to perform its job. In this case, well, in the case of the Udemy clone that we're going to build, this is going to very likely just fetch data from the database related to the course that they bought. And yeah, and then here, these are the tools that AI has access to. So we'll explain tool utilization, but we will not be using tools in this course because the whole thing can be accomplished with just simple RAG. And then these are the outputs. Usually people associate AI outputs with just a string. It doesn't have to be. So in this case, you can define your own output format and types. So that's how. So we're actually fairly sophisticated, and here we got all the permissions. Well, I even created paid user. A paid user has access to everything, I guess. Well, actually one table only. Sorry. Yeah, so it is what I call a Turing complete. And sorry, and the other thing is I am a backend guy. So what I showed you then was all in the backend, but in the front end, you just have a UI designer, and then this guy you can then move it around by adding more things. Yeah, okay. That's basically the idea. You have this is very similar to design tools such as Framer or Figma. So you can do that, or if you want, you can make it absolute, and then you can like move it around with this. But being a programmer, I don't like most of these fixed things, so I just keep it in relative. And the good thing about being relative is now if you drag things around, it looks nice. Well, it doesn't necessarily look nice because I'm very bad at the UI, but the functionality is just out of the box. Right? So if I just drag it kind of out. Now, never mind, I never designed anything that makes it respond to the size of the window. Okay. Yeah, I showed you the visual workflow builder, which is this guy. Right? This guy these are the things that run on the back end, but if you want something to run on the front end, we have a front end workflow builder as well. These two are fairly simple ones. There are things that can get very, very involved. Fortunately, or maybe unfortunately, in this course, it's not going to be that involved. And we have some pre-built components on here, but these are very, very like atomic components. Most of them are just simple wrappers around pre-built HTML components. Now you can say that if I just drag them in, I could change it to a particular image, right? So that's like the simplest thing you can do, but obviously we are not going to be using all just static data because that's not very useful. In fact, like since I guess a lot of you do speak Chinese or read Chinese, this is one of the web apps built on Zion, which is the Chinese platform, but this will give you an idea of how it looks like. Yeah, I'm actually not entirely in China. I'm actually, where am I? I'm in Thailand, according to. So what does this do? It's still, I think it's, yeah. So you're in here and then you can like, this is built by a client. So I don't exactly know what it does. I think you are allowed to it wants me to pay. Yeah, I'm not going to pay, but that's the idea. You will be taken into the payment page. So we'll just see how it looks like. Once I click this, what shows up? Yeah, I'm almost done. I think that's so that's that. And skills that you will have, as I mentioned before, is just you would know about how web apps are built. You would know a little bit of how to design databases and how to integrate AI. And most importantly and most transferable is problem solving skills. This one we've gone through before, and that's it. Yeah. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you very much for just sharing a lot of program details, and it looks like that we have overwhelming information included in this 3 weeks camp, because we include basically the front end as well as the back end, as well as the the payment system, which is very difficult. And then the last piece,
in fact, we have wrapped the payment system. It's not going to be that difficult. We that's
you have a workaround.
In my company, we have we have like quarterly, we call it quarterly assignments. And from HR to engineer, they all have to do this. So this quarters is payment integration, and they found it all of them found it fairly easy. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So we basically have the front end, back end, and payment systems, as well as AI assisted, the components into it, so that if the student is creative enough, and they can basically create their own apps, and then on your platform, which demonstrate their creativity, right? So that, and this is actually, the IP is going to belong to the student. And
Yeah.
student can show that their own website link to either the college applications, or if they're looking for a job or looking for some internship, and then they can demonstrate their works, right? So that would be their own project that they can share with others.
Yeah, I think most convincing is if you just show them the Stripe payment page and you're like, look, I have made money, right? I think that speaks louder than anything.
Yeah, that's it's kind of like, not only that you have a product in mind, but you turn that into a commercial, right? If you have create an app which has a commercial value, it's also interesting that demonstrated to the other people that you're not only that you can think from the technical languages, you're converting your own ideas and through this technical platform, but at the same time you also have a commercial sense that you can have both the technical and the business associated skill sets.
So I saw the question asking the difference between web app and mobile apps are not related at all. So the common misconception among the Chinese speaking is that every time they see the character app, they're like, okay, that's like runs on a phone, right? An application is just something that deals with data, basically. So anything that was data interactivity is considered an app. Otherwise, on web, we would call those websites, things that you just browse and you don't interact with. And then, so the example is Weibo is a web app, whereas say things like Wang Yi Xingwen may be considered more of a website. So that's like the difference. But the line is getting blurred and more because there are very few of these websites, pure websites left, because even things like Wang Yi Xingwen has a bunch of like comments and upvotes and all that stuff. So all these things are more like web apps. And we call these native mobile apps, but there are different ways of doing mobile apps too. We'll have native mobile apps by next year. Currently, it doesn't exist. You can use Moments backend as your server to build your own mobile app, but that's a different story than you're dealing with code then.
Yeah. So I know your presentation is about to finish, and then we have also teaching assistant. I want to just give 1 minute to our teaching assistant Aaron to introduce himself, and he's going to be teaching assistant to help all the students. So Aaron, maybe we can stop share, Yakai, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
And Aaron, you wanted to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Aaron. I'm a teaching assistant for this exciting winter camp. And my background includes extensive experiences in AI and programming. I'm here to help your learning journey, answer questions, help you bring innovative ideas to life. I'm looking forward to see all what you will create during this program. Thank you.
Yeah，我们下面呢可以展开一些中文的 Q&A，如果大家有问题的话，我们可以用中文来回答一下。 那就是看哪位大家有问题，那么我也稍微用中文介绍一下，因为我们可能家长比较喜欢就是用中文来沟通。那基本上呢，我们这个项目的话呢，就是说给这个学生一些稍等一下啊 ，remove spotlight。对，那我们现在把 add spotlight。OK， 看看哪位在说话。OK， 然后呢，我们这个项目呢，主要是说就是给这个高中生或者是大学生，然后呢，因为即使是计算机 CS 毕业的，我们注意到就是说他大学毕业之后，他也许只是比较擅长做前端的，或者是有的人比较擅长做后端的，能够把整个 product 前后都连起来。然后呢，整个流程都搞清楚，甚至是有 commercial idea 的，这种本身就是一个非常难的这些 skill set， 就是大学毕业生也未必前后他都能做 full stack。那么我们现在呢，把这个项目的相当于降低了难度，通过这个 low code 的这个 platform， 那基本上呢，你就是可以说先跳过了漫长的编程的学习，那么就用这个 low code 的 tool。能够帮你实现你的 creativity。这个中间呢，就是我们中间也注意到了有些学生，他们可能会用到他们的日常生活之中。然后呢，我们也看到有些学生，比如说他参加了他的社群活动，他做了很多这个就是社群活动的优化。或者说他有一些 commercial 的这些 idea， 那么通过这个呢，实现了有一些现金的流入。那么这个东西呢，就说明你这个东西是有了，甚至是有了商业价值，不光是一个自己的一个爱好。所以的话，就是通过这个学习的过程之中呢，能够帮助小孩，他能够在很快的就能够把整个的这个技术的从前端、后端整个产品的打磨和 execution 都能够链接起来。而且是一个很快能够实现、能看得出结果的一个项目。那么我就稍微给大家介绍一下，那看大家有什么问题，可以举手啊，或者是开麦，来问。这个 chat box 里面是不是也有问题啊？
有，我正在回。
那你就稍微说一下。
OK，就是有一个家长应该问到，是关于那个是不是会有帮助这个学生去创建他自己的项目的？目前这个是没有，因为3周的话会来不及的。但是学会了之后，他自己有想法，他如果想问的话，就是我们某某也会有一个这个 forum 嘛，然后其实这个我也会在过程中跟他们讲到我们自己是怎么学，比方说我会去 Reddit 上问人，对吧？就是这个世界有很多的 resource，对，就是我觉得小孩子应该都会，只要他知道了这些寻找资源的套路之后呢，其实不一定是需要某一个特定的人来帮助他这方面的事情。
所以就是说，那简化一点，就是3周呢，咱们是走这个比较 general 的，大家都走这一个 project， 还是说它有可能有 individualized 的？
对，就是一个 project 需要，不然的话肯定招不过来，这3周太紧了。
对，那3周之后呢，实际上我们也是有这个，就是变成3个月的这种 internship 的这种 option。所以的话呢，后面的话我们再说。那 Linda 你举手了，你来提问好了。
好，谢谢。就是我想问一下，就是寒假这个3周，有没有具体的就是你们这个 camp 这个 schedule 是什么样的？比如说每周 meet 几次啊，meet 多长时间？是不是都是 online 的？还是就或者说这个答疑什么之后有没有具体的这个 schedule 能跟我们讲一讲？
有的。我们现在因为呢是12月23号一直，这是1周对吧？然后呢，我们后面还有就是一直到1月10号，所以是3周时间。那你可以看到这3周时间大家都有很多的假期，所以的话在线下也不太 realistic。然后呢，基本上我们现在就是1周有2次，每次2个半小时。 那2个小时，比如说是讲课，半个小时答疑这样的。所以的话呢，一周会安排2次，比如说星期二、星期四这样。我们就是根据每个星期可能会稍微适当调整一下，因为有假期嘛哈。所以的话呢，那个就是大概呢是一周2次，每次2个半小时，要3周。学生自己的话呢是要花些时间的，我们觉得至少要1个星期10个小时，是吧？这样的话呢，我们才能够比较完整的能把这个项目做完。
OK， 好，谢谢。
没问题。对，再请大家看看有什么其他的问题。这个呢都是 remote， 而且呢就是说我们原来的经验呢也是大家都因为有的时候有假期啊什么的，时间不太固定，所以如果他 miss 了，我们会有回放。
不过那个回放的看的人的，他就会亏了啊，那就是因为毕竟你在线上的话，你还可以问问题，就有问题直接问的效果肯定比憋着那儿好。
Yeah， 对。这个后面呢，他还说他小孩有一些经验，你看这个问题怎么回答？
Thunkable and App Inventor 这2个是非常不错的东西，但是他们的偏重，就是如果他已经懂了这个的话，我不确定他学Web App 的这个在那个 resume 之类上面能有多大的帮助，除非他就是真正是收到钱了。我不知道他的那个 Thunkable 之类的东西，他搞的是一个什么样性质的这个项目，因为这里不只是一个技术上的问题，是怎么样去，这里面还有一个就是你是不是可以 monetize， 对吧？这个就是能不能够接受到市场的反馈。如果是 build 的是玩具的话，就虽然我们这次做的东西也会接近玩具，因为毕竟是一个每个人都长得一样嘛，但它的背后的那个商业本质就是卖课，并且基于课程答题啊，这回答问题就是这么一个卖的是这么一个东西。那如果是更接近商业的东西，我觉得就是对于商业的理解会更多吧。但你说纯技术而言，也许后端会学到更多一点，在那个 Moment 这边后端会学到更多一点，因为我们的后端相对而言比Thunkable 之类的更重更严谨吧。对，这个取决于这要看你自己怎么判断了。
Yeah， 我也稍微说一下，就是说我们那个就是上一季在 Summer 的时候，我们就做了一个就是项目，然后呢也有好多大家的反馈。那学生的话呢，有高中生也有大学生，那个大家都觉得呢学的收获还挺多的，因为它这个首先呢这个项目比较packed， 就是有很多的 information， 而且呢。他们觉得这个 teamwork 或者说跟 startup 一起工作的话呢，就能够学到整个这个 project 的流程，跟他学校的 project 是完全不一样。所以的话，而且呢，就是学生的 creativity 真的是很 amazing 哈，就是我们看到有一些就10年级的高中生，竟然都做出非常 amazing 的东西来。那么如果说 technical 的 bottleneck 被 remove 掉，它不一定。就是要是编程高手才可以实现他的这些梦想或者是想法的话，那其实高中生一点都不逊于大学生哈，就是他们在技术能力上一旦加强的话，还是非常 creative 的，所以也是我们非常欣喜的一个发现。而且呢，有高中生呢10年级也做得非常好。对，大家还可以提问。这个项目的本身呢，就是说，因为我们是3周的项目，然后呢，学生是要求有一定的投入的，不是说听听课就完了，是吧？咱们这个基本上还是要花点时间，要自己去学。这个学生最好还是比较 dedicated， 而且任何东西都可以做得更好更深。就根据你的兴趣爱好和投入程度，总的来说，每个学生要在3周至少要比较 solid，就是30个小时。 它能够完全的掌握这个平台的这些 tool 啊，可以应用比较灵活。那么在这个3个星期，我们刚才有人问价钱哈，就是说我们是那个就是1799。3个星期，也就相当于每个星期600块钱吧，这样的。然后呢，这个是这样，现在目前在12月8号之前呢是有这个早鸟价，这个是早鸟价。那么在这之后的话，我知道也有一些人说，就是如果我们想要一个 internship 的证书啊，因为现在大家也知道找工作也比较困难，就是大家找到 intern 的这个机会也比较难。这个呢，我们是可以longer term 的话，就超过三个星期。如果大家开始做自己的项目了，用这个 tool 做一些自己的项目，不仅仅是说我就来学一下这个。如果你用好这个 tool 呢，可以做个自己的项目。我们就是有一个3个月的，然后大家可以能够拿到实习的证书。对，这个呢给大家解释一下。那我稍微呢再给大家一个pool，看看大家呢大概是一个什么样的状态哈，就是小孩大概是多大的，请大家也做一下这个就是这个调研的部分。我们看一下，我们是高中生多呢，还是大学生啊？现在目前大家是什么情况？对，请大家填一下哈，就是看看那个我们的学生呢，大概都是什么年级的？好像是高中生和大学生都有哈。对，你们能看得到铺吗？可以直接在铺里面打，不用写 chat box。对，高中生比较多一些哈。哦，你们有的人看不到哈。
它可能是 Web 加进来的。
哦，是 Web 才有是吗
不是，
？OK，
我猜它就是 Web 加进来之后，这个可能就看不到，就
OK，
that's
行
an
那
possibility。
我们就先这样。那好，谢谢大家的这个时间，我再展示一下我们的这个二维码。这样的话呢，大家有问题就是可以直接进我们的群，我们再单独来探讨，就是您具体的问题。对，这个呢是我们冬令营的这个群，请大家呢进群，然后有问题的话呢就找群主，群主来帮大家来具体的回答您的问题。对，然后呢那个就给大家1分钟这个时间，我们下面的话还有一个彩蛋，这个下一个公司的这个 CEO 呢童呢会给大家稍微介绍一下他的这个项目，但是呢这个呢是完全免费的啊，是大家的一个就是 benefit。对。那好，我现在 stop share。那我非常感谢这个蒋老师，然后呢，那个你今天也很忙，而且是从这个泰国打过来的哈，所以的话非常感谢，辛苦了。那咱们等到你回来以后再细聊，也谢谢大家的参与。那我们这一段呢，就目前先结束，谢谢。
好，拜拜。
好，拜拜。